Satisfy your need for happiness through your own curiosity with the Ranveer Show. Could you give me your top 5 learnings in all these years? How many years has it been?
25 years
25 years.
of 32 trips, yeah.
Top 5 learnings about India in 25 years of doing these trips. And then the top 5 learnings of India in 2024.
Sure. So if I think about some of my top learnings of having done these trips, one for me is the fact that, every, like we have, whatever, 28 states or whatever, 29, depending on how you count them. Every time you cross one state border, just how the conversation totally shifts, how the characters shift, and how no one state leader is able to have any appeal even in the state next to it. Like I remember, like in UP, it would always appeal that you have, you had Mulayam Singh Yadav, now you have Akhilesh Yadav. There in UP, you cross the border to Bihar, just the next door, and they will have zero appeal there, right? So it's fascinating. Similarly, Lalu or Tejaswi, if they cross the border from UP to Bihar the other way, their appeal totally diminishes. And there's been no regional leader in India, Sharad Pawar and others have tried, who have been able to break out of their own state. They have their own state, that's it. Even Mr. Modi, he was seen to be very associated with Gujarat, but he needed the backing of the BJP and the RSS as a national organization to reach where he is. But it is impossible in this country, it seems, for any state leader organically to break out of their stronghold. That's one. The second sort of learning that I had also, like in here, as I said, is that the further you go from Delhi or Bombay, you figure out the conversation is so different. It's very different. Their concerns are much more local. We in Delhi, Bombay are thinking about Indian democracy and what's happening to it and all these things. And they themselves are going there and they are thinking about what is in it for me, what's my self-interest, who's giving me what in terms of that, what do I feel like doing? They're not concerned with all these intellectual debates which are going on there. Even things like, it struck me that even things like pollution, it's such a big thing in Delhi, right? Like you go there and it is terrible. And this is one of the downsides, I guess. You go out of Delhi, the pollution levels haven't changed. You go to even a Lucknow or other places, but people just take it for granted. So they don't end up, like caring for that. So it's just about how the conversations in these very big cities is so different from what's happening. The third thing I'd say is the fact that just every time you go, just how much India keeps changing. Like you go now to the smallest towns in India, you will have fitness centers, you will have salons, like out there, you will have beauty centers, just how much that has totally changed. Then the quality of hotels also, we have stayed in hotels, which I'd say that in terms of have been quite telling, like in terms of that. Now, most places in India you at least get some decent place to stay. In terms of that, which is like changed compared to what it was. And in the past, in terms of, I've been to places like Betia in the heart of Champaran and all that in Bihar. And I've stayed in places which at best can be described as a vertical dhaba, which is out there, right? So it's there. And with like, of course, with chipkalis falling from the ceiling and bugs in your beds, and you did. I think that now even those towns have become so different and stuff. So in that way, India has changed. But in one very key aspect, India has not changed, which is that the time it takes me to go from point A to point B. Let's say I'm going from Vijayawada to Hyderabad. I'm going from, let's say, Nashik to Mumbai and stuff. The average speed to go from point to point, house to house, is still 50 kilometers an hour. In 25 years, this has not changed.
Even after Nitin Gadkari?
Yeah, because, in fact, we met him on this trip as well. And I asked him this question he said, listen, I'm responsible for the national highways and the national highways are all very good, which is true. But he said, I'm not responsible for the state highways or inside the city when you go, what happens to the congestion and the traffic and stuff. So, so it's true, the national highway, but you go to the state highways or you go to often like city to city, the congestion and there's so much development along the way. It keeps slowing things down. There's always construction going on. I just drove from Nashik to Mumbai. It just like, I did after 20 years. I'd done the same route 20 years ago. The time taken to go is exactly the same. There's always construction going on. It's always as if demand in India is always ahead of supply. So that just hasn't changed. for all this time.
Is this because the state governments are making money?
No. I just feel that it's so much development always going on and demand is ahead of supply that it just doesn't keep up, right? So like you go, there's always construction going on somewhere, or if you hit a city, the things slow down, or the intercity thing is slowed down. Like even in Delhi, they've built this great highway, like on the Jaipur, like to go to Jaipur. The moment you hit Gurgaon, from Gurgaon to get to, let's say, my parents' home near Chanakyapuri in Delhi, it takes 1.5 hours. So the time as a kid, my grandmother and my great-grandparents used to live in Jaipur. So we used to go a lot. Those days also, to go from around Chanakyapuri to their home in Vivekanand Marg in Jaipur would take about 5 hours, with one stop. Today, the time it takes is roughly the same, even though the distance in the middle you can speed. But the time it takes from the time you enter the outskirts of Jaipur to get to your home, of the time it takes from Gurgaon to get to your home, makes up for all the time that you have gained on the expressway. So anywhere you go, I find that you have to average 50 kilometers an hour as the speed you take for granted. So I'd say that so these are some of the learnings. But the other thing I also find is the great warmth in India, which I don't find in other places, and even the sense of security that I feel in India. Like one thing which really strikes me is that a lot of people ask me that you're 20 of you people. Some of the people are even, well recognized, and some of them, like in terms of are well heeled, so to speak. Do you ever carry bodyguards and security with you? I'm saying that, no, I don't do that. Now, in other countries I know, like in a Brazil or a South Africa, I would have to do that in terms of that. And the one other point I'll make about India is that when you go out there, I know that we love to sit here and we love to be sort of, keep talking about our leaders being so bad and our leaders being, sort of corrupt and all that. But when I go and meet, some of these leaders, there are two emotions I get. One, that you feel that when you meet the leaders one-on-one, that they're very charming, that they know how to charm you a lot. They're very good. And some level also feel that they are truly, really hardworking in terms of that. And one thing about India, which always fascinates me, is how if you look at many of the leaders in India, starts with, like Narendra Modi, but even many of the state chief ministers, many of them tend to be single and unmarried. And a lot of, I think, is that they're just totally devoted to the life and politics. And that's all they care. That's all they live and breathe. And there's very little scope for personal time. And as you know, in the case of Rahul Gandhi or even Akhilesh, if they take a vacation abroad, they get a lot of flack for doing that. Because in India, politics is considered a 24/7 job. The leaders have to be available, on tap. They have to come to the constituency. If someone important's wedding is happening, they got to be there in terms of that. So it's a very consuming job out there. So I know there are a lot of negative things we can say about them, but having met them and having done all this, you also feel a bit of empathy or something about, some positivity also when doing this.
If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.